Shalom all. Welcome back to the KosherTorah School channel. I'm Rabbi Ariel. The purpose of these guided meditation videos is to give you practical applications into the biblical style prophetic meditations, one step at a time. These lessons are for everybody, because whether you're religious, spiritual or not, doesn't matter. Everybody needs to reconnect to God. Everybody knows how this is really to be done. Now, if you like this series of videos, please click the like button. Please subscribe to our channel. And if you like the content of these videos, then please express your support by offering a gift to our school through our Patreon or our PayPal channels. Links are below there. Now, I want to thank you for tuning in, for your support. And now, let's get busy and discuss real details here that I pray God can make a big difference in your life, maybe even try to help change our world for the better. With this being said, we're learning here about the holy name of God, which God himself, as we know, revealed in the Torah. Our traditions, as we've discussed in our previous two lessons, this is lesson 3, is that we are not focusing at this time upon an audio recitation of the name of God, but rather the video or the visualization of the name. In our previous class, I gave you an exercise with regards to a breathing technique. Breathing in on the male letters of Yud and Vav and exhaling on the female letters of the Hays. Inhale on the Yud, exhale on the Hay. Inhale on the Vav, exhale on the Hay. Now, this is all great for what we call the waking meditation, which we hopefully can be applying at every moment of every day, because the purpose is to always become aware of the presence of the divine. Now, let me explain this. Remember, it is a big mistake that we personify God and think of God as some, in quote, guy. Or I don't care how strange your theology wants to get, and we're applying to God male, female attributes. Forget all of that. God is not a human being. And therefore, all of the attributes of humanity that we ascribe to God are symbolic and metaphorical, and absolutely not metaphorical. I'm sure you know it is one of the fundamentals of our Torah experience and our faith that God has no form, no semblance of form. When we're praying to God, it's a very adolescent way of thinking that God is like our father or our king with whom we communicate as if I'm talking to a person. And the vast majority of people today who approach God do so in this adolescent form. Well, the time of adolescence is passing. The time of childhood is behind us. The time of spiritual maturity must dawn upon us, because as we see with our world around us, things are happening. The fulfillment of prophecies is happening right now. We're seeing the toppling and fall of an empire. This will not be stopped. This will not be changed, because as we know, like it says in the words of Psalms, Me'et Hashem haytazot, this comes from God. Just as the nation of Israel in ancient times had to face its destiny by the hand of God, so must modern nations. And the way that we get through hard times is by clinging onto that anchor, which is God's name. Because when we cultivate the awareness of the presence of God, then somehow, in some way, that presence will put proper thoughts into your head, proper feelings into your heart, to know at the moment, but usually not before, where to be, where to go, how to get there, when to get there. In other words, to keep us safe in a chaotic world. Now I'm going to share with you a technique which is not the basic breathing technique, but like I said, we have to take this one step at a time. And I'm going to introduce you now into deeper teachings which come from the schools of Rabbi Avraham Abulafia from about 900 years ago, and augmented to this teachings of Rabbi Chaim Vital, which was from a few hundred years ago, 400 years ago ballpark. Now, just as a word of record, Rabbi Chaim Vital is the famous redactor of the Lurianic Kabbalah. He is the one who took the teachings of the Arizal, Rabbi Isaac Luria, and brought them to the world. Most people understand the teachings of the Lurianic Kabbalah to be what we call the Kabbalah Iyunit, or the theoretical Kabbalah, and that it is. I teach this stuff regularly. We have classes that are available on this. We have lessons on this matter, even right here on YouTube. Okay, so those of you who want to follow with that, we do teach that just like all the other rabbis. But one thing my peers do not teach, and that is Rabbi Chaim Vital's other side. And I don't mean other side in a bad way, I mean in a good way. Rabbi Chaim was a very eclectic man. He dealt with all kinds of strange things. Yes, he spoke with the spirits in the mirror. Go look at my classes on that online. He was very close with many Arab sheikhs because the bond and relationship between Sufi and Mikubal was intense throughout all the centuries. And I think, sorry to wage political for just a moment, I think one of the greatest spiritual crimes today is the division that has come between practitioners of Torah faithful Judaism and practitioners of Quranic faithful Islam, because ultimately we're both praying to the single one God. In all due respect, let's throw in our Bible believing Christian brothers and sisters, because ultimately we're all in the boat together, trying to be faithful to the one true God in a path of righteousness, morality, and decency in a world which has gone completely to the dark side, as we know. But with this being said, throughout history there's always been these connections. Oh, for the record, even way back when, the Knights Templar, the real ones, okay, had very close contact with the mystical rabbis of Judaism, especially when they were in the land of Israel. We're not going to get into all those other details about what happened to them and the possible connection with the rabbis and Kabbalists who helped hide them, but we'll get into that maybe not at some other time. But with that put aside, know and understand that the name of God, and I've taught you this before, it's far more than just a name. It's not like Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's a code. Like we know everything in the Torah is a code. Each and every letter represents and stands for a representation of the dimensions of the worlds that we live in. I discuss this in great details in all my books. Specifically, in Let There Be Knowing. All right, I deal with all of these things, and my other book, Walking in the Fire, I have links to these things in the descriptions below in case you want to follow through with these things yourself. All of these teachings are there. Now, when it comes to meditating upon the holy name of God, Rabbi Chaim Vital, as I said, was very eclectic. He dealt with all the prophetical. He dealt with what's called the magical. He dealt with all the non-theoretical things that all the theoretical, I make up my own words now, theoretical Kabbalists tell you, don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Rabbi Chaim embraced it like this. And you know what? If it's good enough for the great and holy Mikubal, it's good enough for us as well. As long as we proceed with caution and proper holiness and righteousness, because those are our true psychic or spiritual shields. And that's what's most important. We live in a very crowded universe. We don't go off into the higher dimensions and just think that, they're all just there for us. That's not true. Yud, K, remember why I explained in an earlier video why we say K instead of the letter Hey. Remember it says 10 Commandments, don't take the name of the Lord in vain. And our sages said, don't even spell out the letters, just to show proper respect. So whenever we're referencing the name, we don't just say Yud K Vav K, we call it the name Havaya. The letter Hey we always pronounce as a K. That's just our traditional Kabbalistic way of doing things. So go with the flow. Reb Chaim says, you're supposed to close your eyes. Breathing deeply with the Yud Kei Vav Kei visualization, meditation with the breaths as I've taught you. And visualize the name. Each letter as big as a mountain. Each letter vibrant, alive, breathing, having actual life. Now here's the step for today. Quoting from Rabbi Avraham Abulafia, he states that you should visualize as if there is an entity, an individual before you. Now, you can have entities from all sides, good and evil, come to you. Remember, your personal psychic signature is going to telegraph into the greater realms who you are and therefore whom you will attract. If you have blemishes inside you through your behaviors, then that is what you're going to attract. In other words, if you have darkness inside yourself, you're going to attract an entity of darkness who, yes, can very well deceive you and present itself as a being of light. That's why we cling to the holy name, because that's not a name that can be, counterfeited. That's not a name that can be, lied about. Following the Abulafian technique, we call upon God. God, are you there? And now I'm going to share with you how to do it. Each letter I told you is a code. As we know, there are 4 realms in the general Kabbalah way of things. We don't need to get into all the details of the names, Atzilut, Beri'ah, Yetzirah, Asiyah, forget all that. We're dealing with the 4 realities within our humanity. The intuitive psychic, the rational intellectual, the emotional feeling, and the physical actions. Each one of those are represented by one of the 4 letters. So therefore, to begin with, today's step, I want you to visualize that first letter, Yod. Just a little, that's what it is. Simple, short little letter. The letter Yod represents the psychic, intuitive realm. The Sefirat Chochmah, the world of Atzilut, for those of you who want to go there. The primordial pattern of the reality of things. You're to visualize your entity. Visualize the letter Yod. And Rabbi Abulafia says that you should visualize, feel, and sense that this entity wants to reach out to you, wants to talk with you, wants to share with you. So you're going to reach out first to get the whole name, right? It takes time to get to the whole name. 1 letter at a time. Again, if you want details, get my books. Links are below. And I'll give you all the details to feed your brain. But now we got to go into experience. Follow your deep breathing now. Relax. Take a moment now as you're listening to this video, you're listening to my voice. Put yourself into a private place. Give yourself just a few minutes. Breathe deeply, relax. Memorize the image of the letter Yod. Call upon God. How? Your own words, your own mind. But remember, the call is not a verbal one. It's a visual one. It's a psychic one. And ask God, come to me. Visualize the letter Yod before you. See it as, if you will, big as a mountain. See it personifying into the form of an entity. An entity that wishes to communicate with you. But this entity exists in a domain of the psychic and the intuitive. And the way of its communication is thus going to be psychic and intuitive. Breathe in deeply. Relax. Visualize the letter Yod. See it. See it in the form of an entity, as we have said. And now, as you see this entity in your closed eyes, in your mind's eye, visualize it. Personify it. It represents the psychic, intuitive connection to God. It is the letter Yod. Pay attention now. As you're breathing deeply with focus and concentration now, what color does the letter Yod appear? Is it black? Is it white? What color is it? Is it solid and rigid? Or is it fluid and flowing? Does it look like fire? Does it look like water? Can it speak to you? Ask the letter Yod to speak with you. Be patient and allow its psychic, intuitive voice to speak into the recesses of your unconscious, into your heart. You're not going to hear words in your head. If you do, that's your imagination. Dismiss them. Get a sense, a feeling, an intuitive psychic awareness of the presence of God intuitively, psychically, that you are experiencing now. Hashem, speak to me. Show me your way. I want to be open to your presence. Enable me, allow me to become aware, to become sensitive of your presence. Allow me to know your presence. I know human feelings are fleeting. They'll come and go. The Yod is above emotions. You don't feel it emotionally. You sense it psychically. It's always there. So you need to open yourself up to feel its presence. Yod. Speak with me, Hashem. Get a semblance for the flow of it, the feel of it. Allow its presence to permeate you. Visualize it, like I said, as if it's an entity coming to you. Is the entity human, or does it take another form? Reach out to the letter Yod in your mind's eye. Try to touch it. Try to caress it. Try to feel it. If you can, try to take a portion of it, put it into your right brain, the psychic intuitive side of yourself, and allow it to absorb into you, filling you with the psychic intuitive light that you can sense and experience. Breathe deep. Relax. Interact within yourself. Communicate. Dialogue. Yod, I am here for you. And Yod will say that it is here for you, like you are there for it. Experience its reality. No more academic lessons about what it means. Let the Yod share with you directly what it means to you personally. Feel it. Sense its psychic, intuitive source within your unconscious mind. It is the conduit through which the entire name of YHWH is going to flow into you, bringing you wisdom, understanding, healing, and strength. Yud, K, Vav, K. General name. Focus now on that letter Yod. Let it speak to you in its masculine presence, its vibrant, strong masculine energy. Visualize it, if you will, with its vibrant, long, flowing beard, for it is called Abba, Father. Allow the psychic intuitiveness of the reality, which is the Father of us all, to speak directly to you now. Listen to this, practice this, take it to heart. God be willing, we'll pick this up in our next video. Thank you all for listening in. Again, if you like this video, please click like, subscribe to our channel for new videos to come, which I'll hopefully get out to you now a few times a week. And please help support our Kosher Torah School through our PayPal, through our Patreon pages. Thank you all again. I'll see you next time. Shalom.